Hey, it's Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader, and welcome to the Black Belt Leadership Podcast, where each week I'm giving you tips, tools, insights, and resources to help you become a better version of who you are and what you do as you discover, develop, and deploy your own unique Black Belt leader within. I was thinking about life this week and having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about the fact that when life comes, it never seems to come from a single direction. In fact, when the struggles of life come, they often come from multiple directions at once. And we decided that if you're not paying attention, if you don't have your head on a swivel, it's very easy to find ourselves getting overwhelmed and end up on the losing side of life. Now, in martial arts, we train for this. It's an exercise, it's a process we call Randori. It is a principled training and a principled approach to learning how to overcome the overwhelm. Guess what? That's something we don't just deal with in martial arts, we deal with it in business and in life. But I can tell you, when to learn the lessons Randori wants to teach you, you become a better leader, not just of yourself, but of those around you. And that's what I want to spend a few minutes talking about today as we take a 360 approach to leading others. Now, the term Randori itself, it's got its origins in judo, in aikido, in kempo, and in karate. It's the compilation of two words, ran and dor. Now, the word ran means disorder or chaos. The word dor or dori means to seize or to choose. Put it together, it's seizing chaos or grasping freedom. In martial arts, we use it to describe free sparring, often against multiple attackers. Now, in judo, randori works where practitioners move freely about on the floor and they're attempting to throw or submit one or more opponents. They're testing their adaptability and their reflexes under pressure. In aikido, randori, a practitioner is going to face multiple opponents all at the same time who rush the defender dynamically. Now, they're having an opportunity to apply what they've learned in real-time application. In Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we call it rolling, but you're working with one opponent at a time. But in every application in martial arts, it's a continuous puzzle. As a practitioner of the arts, you're trying to figure out how to resist, defend, attack, or control one opponent or multiple opponents at the same time without being overwhelmed. It is a constant struggle for control. Now, to me, to give you probably a better example of that you can imagine is, let's go to the movies and let's take a look at Bruce Lee's Fist of Fury. During that movie, if you remember that iconic scene where Bruce walks into the Japanese martial arts school and he takes on the entire school. With his incredible footwork, relentless combination, and ultimately a pair of nunchucks, he defeats the entire school, fighting multiple opponents at the same time. It's a carryover from his movie The Big Boss, where he took on a group of thugs, but in the movie Fist of Fury, a little more nuanced. Now, this Randori theme began to permeate many of Bruce Lee's movies because he believed Randori could demonstrate the superior martial artist ability to engage and defeat multiple attackers. So once again, in Bruce's iconic blockbuster Enter the Dragon, we see a variant of Randori. If you remember, when Bruce enters Han's subterranean compound, he triggers an alarm. And for the next several minutes, he's engaging multiple attackers and he's subduing them in rapid succession as he goes from bare hands to eskrima, the sticks, and ultimately nunchucks. Now, one of my instructors, Shihan Kalrooks, he loved Randori. And anytime he was going to be setting on one of my personal testing panels, I knew Randori was going to be part of that rank test exam, whether I wanted it or not. And I knew it was going to be brutal. So what was it like? Let me see if I can paint a picture for you. Imagine you're standing on the mat. You're in your gi. You're sweating. You're tired. You're already fatigued from a grueling multi-hour exam. And now one opponent is stood in front of you. You know where he is. You know where the attack is coming from. You can focus all your attention and all your energy on that one single opponent. Now, this is individual sparring, and that's typical in most rank advancement tests. But all of a sudden, Shihan Rooks would utter one word, Randori. And when he said that word, everything changed. Now I wasn't just fighting one opponent, I was fighting two, sometimes three, sometimes five, or as many as seven. And the attacks were coming from every direction, not just from in front of me, from behind me, to the left, to the right, and sometimes many of them attacking simultaneously. And I can tell you from experience, when that happens, you don't have the luxury of focusing on one single opponent. You got to be aware of everything and everyone around you because the attackers are going to be relentless as they press, and you've got to be relentless in your response. Otherwise, the sheer number of opponents are going to overwhelm you. And on the mat, when that happens, you find yourselves on the losing side of the fight. In the real world, it can be different. You could be severely injured or you could die. This is Randori. And this, my friends, is also the world of leadership. Now, most people think about leadership as simply standing in the front of the room or sparking from the corner office and telling everybody else what to do. That's a form of leadership, but that's not real leadership. Because real leadership involves navigating multiple demands. It involves juggling competing priorities. It involves managing conflicting personalities and struggling with changing circumstances and unexpected challenges, and all of this happening at the very same time. And I can tell you that leadership attacks can and do come from any direction and every direction, and sometimes they come all at once. So, a question any true black belt leader in life has got to be able to honestly answer is this. When those attacks come, and they come from multiple directions, often all at once, can you respond effectively without being overwhelmed? Well, there's an essential truth that you've got to understand and embrace as a black belt leader as it relates to Randori. Leadership isn't learned in a controlled environment. Leadership is forged in chaos. Black belt leaders seize the chaos and they use it to their advantage. So, Randori leadership, whether you like it or not, this is an essential skill that you've got to master because there's really no other way to effectively lead yourself and lead other people. So, let's enter the dojo for the next few moments and let's learn the 6 essential lessons that I've learned over the years so you can become a master at Randori. The first is this: leadership is situational awareness. Now, this is the very first and the foundational lesson of Randori. Situational awareness, by definition, it's the ability to perceive, to understand, and to anticipate what's happening around you. It is a critical cognitive foundation that you've got to establish if you want to be a good leader, because having that foundation is going to allow you to make fast, safe, and effective decisions, especially under times of stress or duress. Now, one of the first things you learn is that fixation can be dangerous. In Randori, when you're in the dojo and you're fighting, if you focus too long on one opponent, you allow another opponent an opportunity to attack you from a blind spot. Well, leadership works the very same way. It's so easy to become consumed by one problem, one employee, one customer, one department, or one crisis that we become fixated on that one thing. And guess what? While we're staring at one issue, 2, 3, maybe 4 can emerge somewhere else. So a black belt leader is going to live his life or her life situationally aware. They're going to be aware not only of what's happening around them, but they're going to be aware of who's involved. They're not only going to be aware of what's happening now, they're going to be anticipating what could happen next. They're not only going to see the risks that are developing in their business right now, but they're also going to be looking for the opportunities that exist within the very obstacles and challenges they're facing in the moment. You know, I've heard my mentor, Dr. John Maxwell, say many times, leaders see more and they see before. We're talking about Randori leadership. This simple definition, seeing more and seeing before, that's about situational awareness. Leadership isn't reacting because reacting is involuntary, emotional, and impulsive. Now, on the other hand, when we are responding, we're being thoughtful, we're being strategic, and we're controlled in our thinking. Situational awareness isn't just about perception or understanding or anticipation. It's about seeing more and seeing before because you cannot lead what you cannot see. Now, the second lesson is this: Randori leadership is 360 leadership. The second lesson that we glean from training in Randori is that leadership flows in all directions. Far too many think of leadership as only flowing downstream, from the boss to the rank and the file. Now, this is a dangerous misconception that if you embrace it, it can become a saboteur that can limit your ability to not only lead yourself, but effectively lead others. Because true leadership flows in every direction. It flows up, it flows down, it flows across, and it flows diagonally. So let's take just a minute and let's examine each of the directional paths of Randori leadership. And let's start with the most common one, leading down. Because when you're leading down, it's going from the leader to the subordinate. So this is how executives, this is how managers engage directly with frontline workers and the subordinate teams that they're leading. Down level leadership is about bridging organizational hierarchies. It's about communicating clear intent and outcome, and it's about developing the leaders that are around you. Now, this is an opportunity in down level leadership to coach, to mentor, to teach, to train, and to develop the people who may one day take your place. So, down level leadership is about giving clear, concise direction, and it's about holding people accountable to outcomes. Now, it's also about casting vision, mission, and purpose and setting the cultural tone for the organization. This is top down leadership. But Randori leadership isn't just top down. It's also lateral leadership, or what we call peer-to-peer leadership. When we're talking about lateral leadership, we're talking about leading people who are on the very same level as you. It's a collaborative, cooperative leadership approach where you're working with fellow department heads, you're working with fellow project team leads, or you're working with strategic partners. Peer-to-peer leadership is focusing more on shared responsibility than it is about a traditional top-down hierarchy. It's about helping empower the teams that you're collaborating and cooperating with to solve problems together. So lateral leadership is about influence, but not necessarily authority. Now, one of the most overlooked lessons from Randori leadership is the bottom-up leadership. Leading up is a concept that far too many leaders never truly master. But I can tell you it is essential if you want a high-performance team to rise to its full potential. So leading up means that you are helping leaders make better decisions without undermining their authority. Sometimes your expertise and your experience may exceed that of the person above you. And in those examples, you get the opportunity to formally or informally mentor or coach those that are in a senior position above you so you can help them make better, more informed decisions. So in this role, you're empowering the leaders above you to lead more effectively. Now, in Randori, advanced practitioners utilize a technique we call Tai Sabaki. Tai Sabaki is repositioning of our body to step offline of a direct attack and use it to our advantage. It's known as angular fighting, and Tai Sabaki can be used to neutralize a threat or to put yourself in a highly advantageous position. This is diagonal leadership. Now, we also call it niche leadership, and it works the very same way in life as in the dojo. Because when you're a subject matter expert, guess what? You can lead and you can influence people, even those that don't report to you or the ones that you don't supervise. And I can tell you that in my decades of coaching and consulting, some of the most influential leaders within any organization have no formal authority whatsoever. They simply have credibility. And Randori teaches us that leadership can come from anywhere, but it must be exercised everywhere. Now, the next lesson we learn from Randori leadership is that good leaders are also good followers. This is the third lesson of Randori, and it dispels one of the greatest myths of leadership, and that's the myth that leaders only lead. Now, I can tell you from my life and the life of other leaders I've worked with, the truth is the exact opposite. The very best leaders voluntarily submit themselves to the leadership and the mentorship of other people. They understand the quality of thinking that got them to where they are today isn't going to get them to where they want to be tomorrow, so they are committed to daily, continuous, personal growth. Something I talk about a lot here on the podcast. Now, in Randori, in the dojo, you're constantly responding. You're reading movement, you're adjusting, you're adapting, you're modifying, and you're flowing with what your opponents are giving you. You're constantly observing the opponents you're facing, and you're seeing what you can learn and use to your advantage. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you leadership works the exact same way. Every effective leader follows systems and processes. Every effective leader embraces and follows principles that govern their lives. Professional athletes seek out the wisdom, the guidance, and the experience of a mentor or a coach that not only helps them get to the top, but it helps them stay there. And I promise you the same is true for any black belt leader. Ray Kroc said it well, and I've said it many times on this podcast. As long as you're green, you're growing. But once you're ripe, you start to rot. Now, get that. The moment you believe that you've got nothing left to learn, you've stopped learning and you've stopped growing. And once you've stopped learning and growing, your leadership begins to decline. You start to rot as a leader. Now, good leaders are always good followers. Don't forget that. Now, the fourth lesson of Randori is to act, to always continue training. Now, it's been said, and I believe it to be true, that a black belt is a white belt that simply didn't give up. Somewhere along the journey, every student comes to the realization that in martial arts, there is no finish line. Earning the black belt isn't a symbol that you've arrived. It's simply being recognized as a serious student, and now deeper learning and deeper understanding of the arts can ensue. And when it comes to leadership, it's the same. Leaders should act, always continue training on a daily basis. Every leader should be learning, growing, reading, applying, and refining what they're learning to their lives, because this is how you keep raising the level of your leadership capacity. This is how you up-level the quality of your leadership, because good leaders realize the moment they stop training, someone else starts to pass them. So leadership, like a black belt, isn't a destination. It's a discipline that we practice every single day. Now, another lesson Randori teaches us is it forces us to think outside the box. Now, if you're engaged in what we call one-step structured sparring, there may be only one right way to perform a technique. But in Randori, there's only adaptation. That's all you've got, because every attack is different. Every opponent is different, and every situation you're going to face when you're facing multiple attackers presents its own unique challenges. So the martial arts concept of Mushin, that no-mind concept I've talked about before, comes into play here because it encourages the practitioner to let go of any preconceived notions or rigid strategies. What you've done is you've ingrained what you've learned to do, the techniques and talents, so well that without conscious thought, you can do these things and pivot in a moment and be able to instantly respond to whatever the situation presents. In the immortal words of Bruce Lee, be water, my friend. Now, leadership isn't a mathematical formula. Real world leadership requires creativity and innovation, and that's what we learn in Randori, because you can only be creative and innovate when you stretch the quality of your thinking. I love what Theodore Levitt said. He said, creativity is thinking up new things, and innovation is doing new things. That's what black belt leaders do. So Randori teaches a leader to adapt, to innovate, to improvise, to pivot, and to create solutions in real time. Because the leader who can't think creatively eventually becomes trapped by the circumstances that they face. The last one I want to leave you with is this. Randori stretches your belief in yourself. Now, this is a hidden gift, and it's the gift of confidence, not arrogance. Every single encounter that you face in Randori teaches you one thing, that you are more capable than you believed you were capable of becoming. And I can tell you in leadership, it works the very same way. Every single challenge that you survive is going to expand your capacity. Every single obstacle that you overcome is going to elevate your belief. Leadership confidence is developed through challenge, not comfort. Now, most people avoid pressure, but black belt leaders embrace it because pressure reveals the quality of our character, of our preparation, of our discipline, of our mindset, and of our readiness. So training in Randori places us in controlled pressure. And leadership gives us an opportunity to do that in the real world. Now, the purpose of Randori is not to defeat your opponents. It's to develop yourself. Every challenge, every difficult conversation, every setback, every disappointment, every obstacle, every unexpected attack that you face, if you use it the right way, it's going to make you better. The question isn't whether or not the challenges are coming, because guess what? They are. The challenge is whether or not we see those as interruptions or opportunities. There's many ways to win the game of tic-tac-toe. There's up, there's down, there's sideways, and diagonal. And leadership is one the exact same way. Black belt leaders take a 360 approach to leadership. And this, my friends, is Randori. I'm Dr. John Terry, the Black Belt Leader. Thanks for joining me. Have a great day.